Do you want some more? Do you want some more? Yes!
Sense began life back in 1955 when two parents, Peggy Freeman and Margaret Brock, met each other and started talking. They're both quite remarkable ladies in their own way, but both realised when they began talking that they had mutual problems. They both had Rubella handicapped, dual sensory impaired children, deaf-blind children.
The family centre is the base for the professionals working for the service, but it's also the place that families come to with their young, sensorily impaired children.
I had a normal pregnancy with Lexi, but she was born 6 weeks early and very quick, and we only just made it to the hospital. She was born as I walked in the door. She was very quick indeed. I wasn't expecting it. I had no pain at all. She was just born. She was just there.
Lexi was referred to the Family Advisory Service as a little girl with multisensory impairments with additional problems as well. She's got some physical problems and medical problems in that she's asthmatic. She hadn't had a full assessment of her sight and hearing when she came to the centre. But then in a child with such multiple problems, it's difficult to make an accurate assessment.
Boo. Are you there again? Are you hiding? There's Lexi. There's Lexi. Boo.
We discovered that in the dark room, where the contrast between light and dark is very strong, that Lexi was enjoying using what vision she had. So Bronwyn is looking at extending Lexi's attention to visual stimuli, and beyond that working to develop tracking skills.
That's good fun.
After the stimulation that had taken place in the darkroom, it was hoped that Lexi would then be very much more into using her sight in a more normal setting.
You're working hard today. Yes.
The toys suspended from the hoop on the resonance board were to encourage her to reach out and touch things that she'd located visually. But they were actually near enough to her so that she could locate them through touch if she wasn't using her vision effectively. We use the spa pool basically because the children enjoy the experience of water. It gives a lot of support to the deaf-blind child. It gives total body contact, so it's a complete tactile experience for them while they're in the water. The spa pool has the additional bubbles and jets of water. It helps them to relax, and in that relaxed, enjoyable situation you can do quite a lot of work with them. Sean's session in the pool was extended to include quite a lot of useful work on building up his body image and body awareness through what might be loosely called a massage program, which enables him to link all his body parts to himself. If you're deaf-blind and you haven't used your body a lot, you might not be aware of your limbs or the fact that your hands join your arms and your feet join your legs.
Good boy.
It's to increase that body awareness that we were using that program.
Okay. Is that nice? Is that nice on your fingers?
We never walk. We just work on him and hope for the best of what his ability is, I suppose, really. You know, never give up trying. So, ooh. What are you doing? What are you doing his back? So we get lots of help from sense and
lots of other people, you know, give us a lot of help, and I think we're doing okay, aren't we?
Anne is working with Simon on the ball and patting him to drain the fluid from his lungs. Because of his lack of spontaneous movement, he's going to need an adult to help him to clear his lungs and help his breathing. In a little boy who's not moving very much, she's also giving him the experience of movement by swinging him. And this not only gives him the experience of moving through space, it enables him to move muscles that he wouldn't normally use if he was just lying down, and gives him a very nice sensation which he enjoys.
Down will come Simon, cradle and all. Whoa, is that nice? Is that nice? He says you can do it a bit harder next time, Anne. Here we go. Bouncy, 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 bouncy.
Likewise on the trampoline, Simon's enjoying this because he can't experience it through his own volition. It's something that without an adult's intervention he wouldn't have. And it looks very vigorous and perhaps over vigorous, but Simon likes it like that. And many children who you would perhaps think you had to be very gentle and just move very slowly and carefully, they really enjoy vigorous physical play. It gives them a tactile experience, an experience of movement, which is very valuable for them.
I'll just slowly get you up. Slowly up. That's it. Sit on Anne's knee and have a little rest. That's a good boy.
Rubella used to be the biggest cause of deafblindness. With the vaccination campaign and now with the measles, mumps and rubella vaccination, that has gone down considerably. The population at the bottom end is changing, with an increase in the number of multi-handicapped babies who have a dual sensory impairment. But a large bulk of the population that we're working with is rubella damage from the rubella epidemic in the 1960s. We have 36 students here. Our 36th came last September. Over half of them have come out of mental handicap hospitals where they've been placed inappropriately for varying lengths of time, some for very long periods. They're not all totally deaf-blind, but they all have a visual impairment and a hearing impairment. But we probably have quite a high number. We've 6 or 7 who are totally deaf and totally blind.
We have 7 flats at Sense in the Midlands where the 36 students live. 6 of the flats have 5 students and 1 flat has 6 students. Within the flat we've tried for a mixture of people, a mixture of sexes, a mixture of personalities, a mixture of needs.
I don't think there's a student that doesn't like swimming. They all love the water. It's a wonderful medium. It's safe, square pool. They know where everything is. They get used to the shallow and the deep end, and then they're completely safe in the water. Most of the students I work with here have been in the water before, but not many have actually had instruction. They've tended to have being taken to swimming as something to pass the time, given armbands and sort of left to float about, which I don't think works at all in any lesson. And the aids and the way we teach here, they have to work for their flotation, propulsion, what have you. Like in any swimming lessons, till you're quite happy about putting the face in the water, you're never going to relax because you're going to get splashed. And Bobby's reached a stage now where he's swimming, but he's still tense. So I've been working on a very short time in Bobby's case, actually, blowing his bubbles into the water, just from feeling me blowing onto his hand, hold his hand in front of him, then he'll copy it. Very tactile clue. And he's just blowing bubbles. It's the beginnings of aquatic breathing for when he starts swimming properly, which he will be able to do. Jackie's a new student with us, still settling in. I don't think she's used to the water, so it's very much so relationship building. And once she relaxes, straight away she'll feel freedom that she might not feel on land. They all have their free time, they love it.
You're going to sit down there or on the chair? You're going to sit over here, are you? Or are you going to sit there, do you? All right. Julie's got sight in one eye. It's not perfect sight. She's blind in one eye and she can't hear at all. And she's Rubella. There was an epidemic about, but I didn't realise, you know, that I'd had it, really. Not until after, in the nursing home, when they came and, you know, they told me something was wrong with Julie. And a month after, she went to Great Ormond Street and had this big operation on her heart. So, you know, it came as a bit of a shock. She was in for several years and I gave her training every day. But it got a bit much because, you know, one-to-one, my husband out to work. There was quite a lot to do. I never had a break. It was a 24-hour job. I was getting no backup. So she went to Stoke Line in Exmouth. And it was very bad there. They did nothing with Julie. She's been with very bad subnormals. And I think it's been a bad influence on her. She wasn't interested in anything. She couldn't feed properly. She was eating hardly anything. And now she's aware. Now she's feeding herself again. And she's eating quite well. She's signing for a drink. She's learned quite a few signs, and that's only since June. She can dress herself. And she's a lot happier since she's been here. I feel so grateful to think I got Julie here. This is the third time I've been up since June. I stay in the house where they put parents up. And I come over to the flat for my meals. And I stay with Julie all day. And what Julie does, I do. Everywhere Julie goes for the day, I go with her. They treat me as one of the family. And I think this is the first time for years that I've been treated like I'm Julie's mum. Thank you. Put it there. Put it there. Julie's having a life now, and before, she was just being shut away.
Within the further education department, we have approximately 120 staff. The staff ratio is high because if you're deafblind, you learn by doing things. And to do that, you need somebody working with you. So you need a one-to-one relationship.
I'm a personal tutor to one of the students living here, and I basically act as an advocate for this student, caring for her, working out programmes so she can advance further. We try to teach them everyday skills, like if they get up, they wash, they have a bath, and basic skills like you would do with a baby, drying themselves. Basically, you have to start from the very beginning with most of them. And self-help skills like brushing the teeth, combing her hair, and then into the flat area where they do pouring drinks or hoovering or polishing. Many of them were institutionalised when they were younger, and they've been here about a year now, most of them, except two who've been a few months, and they're coming on really well. They've learned an awful lot. I have always wanted to do it because I have a deaf-blind sister, and I've always been involved in looking after her and caring for her, and we've been involved with Sense. My family's been involved with Sense for a long time. So I've always known about it. And I went to college for 2 years doing social care. And then from there I came here about 14 months ago. The good things are it's very rewarding. The students give a lot of love back to you. And it's just a very happy and friendly environment to work in.
The pressures on families of bringing up a disabled child are so difficult to understand unless you've been through that experience or been closely involved with people who have been through that experience, that you really shouldn't comment on it, because it is just not possible to understand the pressures. If you think of the expectation of a family, a mother and father, when their first child is due, for example, everybody wants that child to be perfect. And if that child is not perfect, then so much is knocked on the head straight away, right from the start. Instead of being the most joyous part of your life, it can suddenly become the most disappointing part of your life. And it's the disappointment which is emphasised, which is unfortunate, because you haven't brought a handicap into the world. You've actually still brought a person into the world.
My son Ian is 27. He's totally blind and partially deaf. We never have had his hearing accurately assessed, but he hears quite a lot. His understanding, though, is very limited to such things that he can actually relate to and respond to, like stand up, sit down, do you want a drink, would you like some food, it's time for a bath, that type of thing. It was very difficult. It got a lot more difficult as he got older, because he was adult and big and strong, and obviously more difficult to handle. And also, when my other children were growing up, I didn't really want to be in that position anymore of looking after what was a permanent child, in effect. It was a 24-hour-a-day job, really. I couldn't go out and leave him alone in the house. It wasn't very easy to take him with me either as he grew up, because he could be quite difficult. If he didn't want to go somewhere, he wouldn't go. Here, they quite often go out to a pub or for a walk if the weather's nice. Swimming, maybe, that type of thing. They do various activities in the flats. Maybe go out to a McDonald's for a hamburger, that type of thing. So he leads a much more interesting and exciting life than he did at home, where he was just really with us, and it wasn't that easy to take him out. He could be quite difficult at times, and also you just don't somehow, if you're, parents and a grown-up handicapped child, you really just don't sort of take him out to the pub. You'd rather go out on your own without him, which is an awful thing to say, but that's life, that's the way it is. After 25 years you run out of steam a bit, and if he's being difficult you want to stop him being difficult without thinking, why is he being difficult? But here, if there's a problem, then they're very concerned to find out why and put that right. So it's a totally different attitude from anywhere else I've come across.
I'm Ian's personal tutor. I'm involved with, for instance, buying clothes for Ian, and also setting out certain routines, patterns that he has to follow, programs, so on. We have a good relationship together. We work together well. Ian's keen to learn, so it makes my job a lot easier. Ian's got very good sight compared to a lot of the students that we've got. He has to hold things sometimes very close to his eyes. He can see shapes in the distance, he can see your figure, for instance, in the distance, and so on. Hearing, very hard to tell with Ian. He doesn't react to any environment, to any kind of sounds from the environment, doors banging, people shouting, music, so on. So it's very hard to tell if someone doesn't actually turn their head towards a noise.
Look.
The washing task has several different functions. Obviously the first one is to clean some of his own clothes. He's got to be aware that you can't just click your fingers and clean clothes appear. We do a vast majority of his clothes for him, but we like to show him what we have to do as well as himself. No, move him around first. The other part of it is coordination. getting him to concentrate. For instance, when I'm signing squeeze, he was, hopefully, because he was looking at what I was doing and understanding the sign, he started to squeeze himself. For instance, the rubbing action with the underwear between his hands, he hasn't quite got yet, but we're getting there, definitely. First, the key to it all is concentration. He must be looking at you. He must be wanting to look at you. There's no point in when he's shaking his head and looking away. You can't do anything then. You have to get his attention. You have to say, Ian, look at me, look, and then get this eye contact. Because Ian can see, we have that advantage.
No, on there.
It's good. Yeah. Right. Let's see what we got here. There. A hand there. Pinch. Peg in there. There are rewards in this job, but they're very slow coming. Simple things are very rewarding. A student will acknowledge yourself, for instance, or a student will acknowledge other people. They achieve something that we've been working on for some time that is beneficial to them, because everything we do is for them. In the end, it's down to them if they want to do it or not. So when they do achieve something, it's not us forcing it, it's them wanting to do it. And I think that's the biggest reward. Using that. Into that one. That's right. There. Come on. Clip in. Sit. Try it on here. Make a different shape.
I think there is a responsibility on man to make sure that life is as good as possible for everybody. God working through people rather than God just pulling the strings.
In the future, Ian will be somewhere that caters for his needs. He's only been here a couple of years so far, so it's hard to tell what will happen at the end of his term here. Hopefully, there'll be a place where he won't need so many staff to work with him. He'll be getting up in the morning, doing his own thing, understanding that in the morning I have a wash without someone having to tell him. And that is enough for Ian. If Ian can get that, then he's achieved the world.
This is a further education centre. We accept our students for a period of around 5 years, although that is flexible. That presupposes that after they leave us, they have somewhere else to go. And I'm afraid to say that in the majority of cases, that's simply not true. To answer the question, what's the future for our students? For some of them, I have to say, I don't know, and I'm concerned about it.
I think I come to terms with the question of if God is a loving God, why does he allow this? By saying that, in a way, what the people I am dealing with and working with are people. And I don't question as to why they're allowed to live. In the same way, I don't question as to why I'm allowed to live. The idea of a dictatorial God deciding that that group, because they are perfect, whatever that may mean, can live and that group can't, is not one that I have.